6 o'clock. So I'll call the regular school board meeting. There I go. Regular school board meeting of the Grand Falls School Board to order. Please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That'll be fun. All right, so our roll calls. I love hearing my voice back, by the way, it's really fun. We have.
Yes.
You want to pause for a second? Okay. Is it okay if I awkwardly stare at the camera while you do that? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Things up, so go ahead, you're good.
I'm good, okay. A roll call, we have Director Gottner, did I say that right?
Correct.
Director Dane, Director Ledoux, Director Kincaid. I almost literally called you Director Beach. I don't like for like a quarter of a second that popped into my head. Our superintendent for her first meeting, Dana, and myself, Director Carey. Moving on to recognition for former Director Tina Veach or of former Director Tina Veach. So do we want to do a round robin? I don't, Director Gochner, I know you don't have the pleasure of knowing this fantastic woman that's sitting in front of us, a true hero in every way. But a dedicated school board member for 7 years. Is that what 6 years? Almost 7. Isn't that what we like?
No, it was like a week and a half shy of 6.
Okay, so we're gonna call it 5.
We don't round up.
Yeah, we don't round up here. Consistency and honesty in all things. But I have the extreme pleasure of presenting her with kind of a memento that we've recently started doing for outgoing board members. Should I let you open it or should I tell you? I think you know what it is, don't you?
I have heard it's a clock. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So
But first I want you to sit there for 30 minutes while I tell you how wonderful you are. No, just joking. But you are fantastic, Director Veach. I appreciate so much about you and your dedication to this community. I've tearfully said a couple of times just how much you meant having your voice on this board. The fact that you literally blew a brain vessel as you were contemplating and working hard for this district. And thank goodness that you pulled through something that, as I've said a couple of times, many times as I was looking at you in that hospital bed, wasn't 100% sure you would. So the fact that you're sitting in front of us is a true miracle in and of itself. But I don't know if anyone else, don't want to put anyone else on the spot, but if anyone else wants to say something, certainly you can, and then I will give you your fantastic gift.
I just wanted to say that it was a pleasure to serve with you and get to vent with you on the phone about all kinds of things, and your strength and determination and bravery is admired and respected, and I appreciate you very much, and I hope to be a friend for life.
Hear ye.
Yeah, and you were there when I first jumped onto the board, so you helped me through what Eric's about to have to go through. Learning all.
Don't scare him away already.
Yeah.
Learning the ins and outs and all that fun stuff. And then you also, right, there's the thing that I really appreciate about our board across the years is there is no two people are alike. And that's I think intentional and very well appreciated. And I feel like one thing that I can learn from you as well is while being very passionate, I still always try to maintain a cool, measured approach to everything. And sometimes you just got to let your inner Tina out and and let it be known. And, you know, your passion is very clear. There's never any second guessing or anything like that. And so, excellent role model, you know, excellent teacher. You'll be sorely missed, but it's not like you're, you know, moving away or anything. You'll still be present. You'll still be local. You can still come to stuff like this.
Board comments.
Exactly. But no, sincerely appreciate you and all the best.
And yeah, I want to say that the community owes you a great deal of thanks for all the time you've served. You were the chairman of the board when I got here and held that position until your medical emergency and did a great job. Something that we can all aspire to do. Carl's gonna have to live up to, so.
That's big shoes to fill. Do I need to fill them or does?
Oh, no, you do. But yeah, great job. Thank you. And thank you for trying to come back. I know that it was very difficult with what you've been through. And we appreciate that you just didn't throw up your hands and walk away right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And Tina, just really quickly, I know I've only been able to know you as long as I've been selected, but you know, I think one of the most incredible acts of volunteerism is being on a school board. You care about your community, you care about outcomes for kids, and you're absolutely what a board member should be, in my opinion. You're passionate about our kiddos. So thank you for that. And one of the most incredible things is how intricately you knew the budget and special education information. And so I felt like we had an amazing connection from the beginning. And so I just thank you. I thank you for your dedication to this community. And I'm so glad that you're still here and that we can still, you know, involve you in all things. So thank you.
In other words, you're gonna get signed up for a bunch of committees.
Yes.
That's the way we celebrate a bunch, multiple.
I think it's a budget committee.
Can I give you this and give you a hug? Are you okay with that? You don't have to walk to me. I will walk to you.
That's right, I make you nervous, sir. Thank you.
Paris gets funny.
Wow.
You have to show the camera.
Plastic.
Which way? Over here. Or
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So I do want to also say thank you to you because Carl, you've made 6 years, really 5, because we don't have enough. Just fun and it's fun and laughed and cried and all things in between. Bill, your crew saved my life, so that's not a school board thing, but I wouldn't be here to accept my clock without you and the crew that works for you, so appreciate that. And I'm sure I'll get to know you because I'll be around. Early, you're so nice. You're right, we don't think the same, and yet we do, because it's the weird stuff that you pick up on when you do the stuff that we do, that you're sort of in the details and it just sort of rises to the top. So I do think we have a great board, and I always say I'm not a quitter, but this time I had to know when to tap out, but I still miss you guys.
Yeah.
I kind of do. So anyway, so I will still be around and I'll still be reading, but maybe not all of Marshall's reports. Anyway, so thank you all very much. And Paris, thank you for having me sign one more time sheet. I'm sure that 2 hours, $50 in benefits, I won't notice it. It'll be good anyway, so thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Round of applause. So, fun transition, moving on to the oath of office for our new, and I have, first, I should probably start, it's okay if I call you Eric in this little informal. I apologize deeply for missing your interview. I had a brand new grand nephew coming into the world, and it was pretty important for me to be there because I went to all the Lamaze classes, and I need someone had to. Who else was going to say focus on your breathing, like all of that stuff. That's a very important role. I would say almost as important as the person having the baby. I would say that. You guys don't have to agree with me. You know, there's very important roles in that regard. But I've heard nothing. I had the chance to read your resume. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about you. And I'm so excited to have you on the board. I think that the fact that there's been a couple of times where we've had to extend a couple of times to make sure that we had a good representation, but thankfully we had really good feedback from this last time, and you know, you were definitely qualified to do the job, and I'm so happy to have you. So one of the I don't know if Carly told you, but one of the roles of the chair is to kind of take you under your wing and, you know, help teach you Robert's Rules of Order and kind of those things that don't necessarily come natural. So I'm sure at some point soon you'll get tired of seeing me, just because, you know, I certainly want to reach out and make sure that you feel like you have what you need to be successful in this role. So I just say that to let you know that I'm here anytime you want to call or anytime you have questions or anything like that, whatever I can do, as we all are, by the way. I'm not saying you just have to call me, as certainly as we all are, because I'm sure Director Ledoux could tell you some funny stories about, like, when he came on, he's like, hey, sign me on to that Google sheet where we all talk about stuff. It's like, well, we can't do that because more than 3 of us is a quorum. And so we can't talk about stuff like that. But I'd love to help you navigate all of that stuff, because I think the more I can impart on you, the faster that you can kind of hit the ground running and stuff. So do we have, I know we have the speech and stuff like that. And was there something else, Dana, that you wanted to say before we went there?
Just welcome, and we're looking forward to working with you. And then we, of course, have a lot of work to do on the 19th at the board retreat. And so whether that day works for you, and we can.
Yeah, I'll make it work.
Yeah, we have the oath of office.
Let's do it. You do it? Yes, you do it. Okay, nice.
I know. Oh, it's okay. Cover me. I don't want to, I'm like, oh, I'm in the middle. Great.
A little bit more like this. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
I, Eric Uppner,
I, Eric Goffner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws
that I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of
of
Washington,
the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge the duties of the office of
perform
perform and discharge the duties
and discharge the duties of the office of
the Granite Falls School District number 332,
Granite Falls School District number 332,
Director number 4,
Director number 4,
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
If you have like a speech planned, you can drop it in now. Just joking.
Nothing yet.
All right, moving on to item 2C, board comments. I certainly won't start with our new director, Doctor, but I was about to pronounce that name wrong. Does anybody want to start? Have anything pressing? If not, I just call.
We had an amazing graduation at our schools this year. Biggest graduation we've seen at Crossroads. And it was a pleasure to be a part of, and I love how dedicated the staff was to get it set up, organized. It ran really well, and I tip my hat to the band because they did a fabulous job out there.
Absolutely. Well said. Director Ledoux?
Yeah, just as we head into summer, doesn't feel quite like summer yet, but I'm sure this will be the last rain that we get. But as we jump in, we'll start having, especially, different sports camps and stuff during the summer. So just a reminder, stay hydrated, right? Don't fall victim. Don't have Bill's team come and pick you up. Outside of that, I'm excited about that we're a full team again, we can get running and rolling. We've got new leadership in here that I'm really excited to get the ball rolling. It's so weird because Dana's been around for so long that it's weird that she actually officially just started last week. but I'm excited to see things get moving. Excited to, to have the discussions. And right, the work starts now or continues, I guess, so to speak. So, yeah, just excited to get going.
Director King?
Yeah, so I've been kind of ruminating on something for a week or so. And it's just kind of something that I've been thinking about after having a conversation with Director Dane, and I won't divulge that conversation, but something that I had said about something was talking about the community and what I had heard from the community. And he said, well, that's not what I've heard from my community. And that kind of struck something in me that I need to be out there more, getting to know more of the community and get to know Bill's community and Peter's community, Eric's community, Carl's community, get to know everybody from all the different areas and stuff, but also kind of a call to our community to get to know us too, and to reach out and, email us, even if it's just to say hi. I can count on probably my fingers and toes how many times I've gotten emails since I've been on the board for 3-4 years now. And was 3 years? I don't know what it is anymore. 3.
We don't round.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I want as a challenge to myself, a challenge to you all, and a challenge to the community. Let's get to know each other and listen to each other and find out the needs and wants and desires of everybody. So yeah.
Thank you for that, Director.
Yeah.
Do you want to go next? You got superintendent. Do you want to go there?
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
We just said it, but huge congratulations to Director Gochner. Very happy to have you here. Second, what Director Ledoux said, it's so interesting that this is your first meeting on this side of the table. So I'm extremely excited to work with you, Dana, and we've already had tons of conversations, and I'm just so excited about where we're at and where we're going. I also wanted to give a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart to Director Kincaid, who literally at the last minute, I was like, hey, baby's coming. I don't think I'm going to be able to make the meeting. And what a tough meeting to just throw you in there. I mean, you've led once or twice before then, and you did an amazing job. And I'm just so proud of you. I just really am. No, seriously, those are tough meetings, right? I remember the first time that I had to do that type of thing, and it was planned. And I remember how nervous I felt, and the fact that an hour before you figured that out. It's great job.
Thank you.
And then also just wanted to say, there is always, every single year when we have graduation, to Bill's point, there is a moment when I'm sitting on that stage or shaking someone's hand where the scope of this hits me, right? Like what we do, where we fit, what that looks like for a graduate, what we're preparing them for. And it hits me right in the heart, man. This is tough work on all facets of this. And the fact that we're able to play a small piece in their story, right? And hopefully provide them the things that they need to be successful in whatever the next steps look like. That's great. And I just, this wasn't planned, but to Carly's point, it actually makes me want to work harder, right? Because there's kids that are falling through the cracks, and that's not okay with me, right? And so, not saying that we aren't doing the things, but we are, but there's always more work to be done. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. So anything else before we move on? Okay. All right, next is superintendent report presented by Dana Geeslin.
Right.
Her first one.
That's one.
Tear it to shreds.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here. All right, the formatting is interesting.
Yeah, I got a little
Yeah,
monkey.
if you give me 2 seconds, then we.
I'm like a little anal about that, so I'm like. No, it's been great. I have been able to be here a lot, and that has been fantastic. So it's exciting to be here day after day instead of being here on a Tuesday and then maybe the next Tuesday and Marshall, oh my goodness, so much has been done since I came. So I wanted to share with you just a few things that we're working on, what the summer looks like, and then
Figure out full screen.
All right, sounds good.
Right here, 1 second before you do, I gotta share this.
Super exciting, but yeah, not that exciting.
Okay, are you able to click?
All right,
I'll
Yes.
click for you.
okay, sounds good. So I kind of divided this up into the first 30 days and kind of the work that's going to happen in the next month, and then the first 90 days. And then, you know, after that, it'll be the entry plan and all the work that we do together. And that is, you know, the board goals, my goals, which, you know, trickle down into our school improvement plans and overarchingly our strategic plan. So this first 30 days, some refinement of the budget and prepare for the hearing and adoption. I anticipate that'll happen at the July meeting. And Marshall will go over some of the things around that tonight. Finalized administrative hiring. We had final interviews for our middle school assistant principal position today. And that process, a very rich applicant on that process went really, really well. And I really appreciate Principal Meaner's leadership in that work. We'll monitor enrollment and staffing needs as we move through. Prepare and implement summer maintenance projects. There's some requests, there's lots of asks. We only have so much money, so we'll do what we can. We'll continue to put some of those things, you know, on a priority list. We have the school board retreat, like I talked about, on July 19th. That will be all day, and that will be downtown at City Hall. Tina, if you'd like to stop by, you're more than welcome to make a visit. But some big work to do on that day. I'm really looking forward to spending time with you all. We'll prepare for the district leadership retreat in August. That'll be 2 to 3 days where our leadership team, so central office leadership, as well as building leadership, coming together and working out some of those priorities and things for the next year. I will be attending 2 conferences this summer. One is in the lovely community of CTAC. That's the new superintendent conference that WASA puts on. It's a kind of a must-have because there's lots of legal requirements that we don't want to miss. And that'll be July 21st and 22nd. So I will be out of the system. That 21st is a Sunday, the 22nd is a Monday. And then also the WASA OSPI MTSS conference. That's a special ed through line. That's the director's conference too. I'm actually presenting at that conference, but unfortunately they don't give you a discount if you present. So I don't know what's up with that. But we do have a few people from the system going to that. That's a really critical one. And MTSS's multi-tier systems of support is how we should be doing this to meet the needs of our kids. And then lastly, in the next 30 days, preparing for School of Rock. There's been a lot of work already done by Dr. Manns and her team and other cabinet members, but that is that welcome back that you knew about. So I would love to have you attend when we have our opening at the School of Rock. It would be, I think, wonderful to see you all there when all the staff is there for the first day. Moving over to the first 90 days, so the next 3 months. If you could go back. Oh, sorry. That's okay. Multiple policy reviews and updates. Paris and I will be working on that the next, probably a lot in July and August. Making sure WASA's recommendation, but it's also important that we dive into some policies that maybe haven't been looked at, that can happen, especially in changes of leadership, and COVID really impacted policy reviews. So we'll get some eyes on our policies. Onboarding of new administration. We have quite a few new administrators in this system. We're really excited to have a new executive director of teaching and learning, a new executive director of student services. And Marshall is especially thrilled about the remodeling, if you will, or the change upstairs, because they're going to be in each other's space. It is ed services, and that's how you build a congruent system. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 is by people working collectively together to serve the needs of all children. Alignment of staffing to enrollment. We'll continue to keep a close eye on that. Again, the summer maintenance and upgrades retreat in August we'll have. We'll finalize the preschool move. This room that you're sitting in next year will have a lot of 3 to 5-year-olds in it, and that is where it's at, my friends. So all of these classrooms down here will have preschool, and all of the district office staff will be upstairs. And I had an epiphany today, say, was in a big system for the last 6 years and much smaller systems prior to that. But as I said hi to the same person 6 times today, I was like, okay, Dana, you don't have to say hi every time you see me. But, you know, my last system, you see somebody once and you might not see them again for another, 3 weeks. And so it was Jen Hines. I'm sure she's like, and then the new employee orientation, August 21st and 22nd. The board is invited to the lunch on the 22nd, and then it's also on the 26th and 27th. And Jen and her team are working hard on that. And then again, School of Rock is on August 28th and 29th. If you'd like to come on the morning of the 28th, that's when we'll kind of do our opening, and we would love to have you there. All right, these are just some upcoming district and community events that I will try to be at. I know I won't be able to make the first one because I have my granddaughter for a couple of weeks here. But it's the Galena Street Extension ribbon cutting, and I know that that's now I know what that street actually goes to, so check that out. But that is just this Saturday, and then there's quite a few events at the library, so I encourage everyone to really engage with the library over the summer. It's an excellent way to get, hands-on books and books in the hands of our kids. There's the Show and Shine, which is an event that I've heard is pretty awesome. So I look forward to that on August 3rd, National Night Out. I've been working with the Community Coalition and just kind of talking with them a little bit about how we're going to engage over the course of the year. And Carol let me know about this event that's coming up on August 15th from 4 to 7 at Mountain Way. A very cool thing we found out today is that we will have a van there for immunizations. So Washington state law has gotten stricter and stricter and stricter. It used to be there was a little buffer and kids could go to school for a couple of months if they didn't have their immunizations updated. And now it's not. Kids cannot start school unless we have immunizations updated. And so the van will be there and provide free immunizations for any kids that come. The reason that's also important is fourth day count happens on the fourth day of school, and that's a key component to our funding. And so if we can get some of those things done ahead of school, it really impacts our bottom line. The first day of school is very early this year because Labor Day is really early, and that's on September 4th. First days for preschool are September 5th for a full day. Students who attend a full day program, and then for the AM and PM sessions, it's on September 16th. And then we have railroad days coming up in October. Something I wanted to highlight is the work that our food service nutrition services here. We have summer meal programs. You probably got a phone call today, and we did a blast out, and we will continue to do that. It's really important that our community knows that there are free summer lunches right over here at Granite Falls Middle School for everybody. There's no proof of income needed. It is something that the federal government has done been supported for a very long time. The meals are fantastic. When I saw the menu, I was like, okay, that's legit, right? So I encourage everyone to come to Granite Falls Middle School Monday through Friday between 11:30 and 12:30. There's two options, hot and cold options. It's a fully reimbursed program, so it comes at no cost to the district. It's July 1st through August 22nd, and then July 4th and July 5th. We won't be serving meals. And a little proud grandma moment. This is our only grandchild. She actually went to the program in Idaho. My daughter took her and she sent me the picture. I'm like, I'm going to use that because I don't have permission from any other family. I don't know who has permissions yet. So Charlie's going to have to go and be on the presentation that I'm doing tonight. And it's like, oh, you have no permission to use it. But the best part about it was she went last week one time for something, and she got up this morning and said, hungry, school? And I was like, what, do you want to go to school? So off they went, and that's the cool part, right? It's meals, but it's also there's some social components for kids, and they get to connect with other kids. So any questions on the things that are kind of going on? We're busy here. Everyone's, kind of running and gunning and taking some vacations and working. I think one last piece is we created an administrative calendar that we can all see, so we know who's here every day. So it matters if we don't have something's happening at Granite Falls High School and both Dave and John are out, we know that one of us needs to respond there. So just giving some systems and structures.
Forward to it.
Yeah.
I have a couple. Hold on. Sorry. Do we keep track of, or have any way of tracking students who, have signed up for kindergarten and they, for whatever reason, whether it be the immunization or whatever, they decide to, I guess not enroll or anything like that? I know we have lists for choice transfers and stuff like that, and maybe it'll propagate into that, but do we have any visualization of that, just out of curiosity? because I think this is the first school year where it's like really intact, the change in the law, and maybe I'm wrong of
There
that.
was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
We have to make sure that everyone is holding to it.
Yeah.
I think I think administrators had a hard time with it at first, across the state because
Yeah.
they were like, oh, like for real, you mean they can't attend until all these things are in place?
Right.
So working really closely and having, if we don't have kids, and I know that the district nursing services is keeping a close eye on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, who has those things? How do we reach out and how do we encourage and how do we tell them about the 15th and what they could access?
Yeah.
So we do have the registrations. We know how many kindergartners we have registered. We know how many came to the kindergarten
Roundup.
roundup, yes.
Mhm.
And so that gives us a good indication of some of those things. But we'll continue to kind of blast that out and make sure people know so that they can, the more information they know, the better prepared they are.
Yeah, and my intent is not to make a big thing of it, but I guess my understanding is, so there's a certain date where it's like, hey, I'm sorry, you gotta do this or something like that. So and my hope is we don't have to do that with anyone, but if does that fall into some list where we can go, oh, we've had to have that conversation with 10 students or something like
They
that?
can't attend unless immunizations are.
Oh, really? So like 9 for the
It
first
used to
day?
be, yes, it used to be like October 31st and then
Okay.
we try to back it up and those kind of things. So now they cannot attend without immunization records being correct. So we've already reached out this spring. So I checked on that about a month ago.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? Phone calls need to start happening this summer.
Yeah.
For any kids that don't have that up to date, and that's all at Skyward. And so just really helping families know, because it just really, it impacts our funding.
Yeah.
And we want kids here on the first day.
Yeah.
It's hard. You're behind the eight ball a little bit when you start a couple weeks in. We want kids to be ready to go. And especially when classrooms are doing all of that team building and all of the things, and you think about your fourth grade class, all the stuff, all the norms and rules and, classroom things that you set up in the first weeks of school. And it's hard if kids aren't there.
I just have one more. On the board retreat that's coming up, is there, I know that we want, I guess, what are the things that you're hoping work that we complete in that? I know it's the superintendent goals, obviously, is one of them. Are we also going to go through a full strategic plan? I don't know how much Director Gochner's heard about it, but just to kind of get everybody thinking as, here are the 2 or 3 things that we're really looking to kind of get through at that retreat.
So my hope would be also that we come out with some board goals too, because the board goals will drive the superintendent goals. which
Yes.
Drive our school improvement goals.
Yeah.
So board goals, also just working through some pieces of us getting to know each other and working as a team. Probably doing some strengths finders and talking about that and knowing who each other is and what we bring to the table. And then a little bit from each cabinet member, there'll be some things in the budget. Marshall will have a point like a portion of that day to go over so we can really dive into the budget and make sure that we are understanding where our budget is, where it isn't. We have some things that are impacting it. I think about the retirements and the resignations and the payouts that come with those. So if it's people that have vacation days and stuff, there's some impacts that you can't always plan for. So we'll talk about that and make sure we have that. But I guess outcomes would be a review of the strategic plan. Strategic plans are something that you embrace the community with. So that would be a process that we would work on. I would also like to have a pretty rich discussion. I know Bill mentioned this last week around the bond and when that happens and what our next steps are and go over kind of the, Marcia's going to talk a little bit tonight. I think it's on the consent agenda or some new business.
Yeah.
The facilities plan. And so we need to have some time to talk about that too. What's been done, what are your ideas and things when you're interfacing with the community, and those kind of things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Spend the day with you all.
I think I'm all good.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you, Dana.
Appreciate it. Wonderful first presentation. All right, moving on to board reports. I'll start with ledge report. There's not a whole lot going on right now, obviously being summer. The next big thing that's coming up is with WASDA, is that General Assembly, where they kind of pick by Director Veach. General Assembly is where we review WASDA's priorities for this next legislative session that's coming up. There's a lot of work that's happening right now with aligning. I call it the alphabet soup. So WASDA, WASBO,
WASA.
WASA, all of those,
AWS
the alphabet soup of us really aligning across all of those organizations are the priorities so that we're all speaking the same message, which hopefully it's going to push. This is a long session where they're basically going to do a new budget. And I have seen a couple of things in the Seattle Times, as well as unfortunately with things that are happening with Marysville. I'm already seeing a lot of kind of conversation out there in the ethers about Washington, how we fund schools and stuff like that. So I guess I take that as encouraging, right? Hopefully that kind of wets the whistle, because this is certainly the one where they're not revising the budget, they're starting. So, hopefully there's a push to increase. I think right now 48% of state revenue goes to education. In previous years, that was up in the mid-50s and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. So that's all I had there. Any questions or anything?
I did add something to our website around, Marshall, you can speak to it.
Yeah, the WASA put together a really great website about the things that are going wrong with school funding right now. And it is a very easy to read. Somebody who doesn't know anything about how school budgets work can go in there and see. They have 4 videos that they've published that are like 2-minute little videos about what's going wrong with school funding. And they have a bunch of narratives about, hey, milk has gone up 41% and the state's given the school district 5% more in revenue to pay for that. Fuel's gone up 60% in the last 5 years. It has all these stats that are showing why the way the state funds schools is being way outpaced by inflation and costs that the school districts have no control over. And we have a link to it on our website. It's fantastic, but it really does a good job of kind of explaining it in ways that a normal person, a normal family of our school district could understand without having to know all the ins and outs of how complex budgeting is.
Thank you for saying that, actually, and that reminds me of something I wanted to talk about and mention is, so there's essentially a think tank at the University of Washington that for the last 2 or 3 years have really been digging into the OSPI data on outcomes and expenditures per students and all of that. And they've done, and I can share this report with you guys because it really graphically represents. So it's a plot graph that has school districts and cost revenue received and bylines that by like free and reduced lunch and a lot of things to basically then graph schools on, kind of ranging them from regressive or people that are being paid, less than what they need to be able to operate and offsetting that by levies all the way to the, more affluent school districts, the Bellevues, the Issaquahs, obviously, I gotta say City of Seattle because they get billions of dollars in revenue a year with a B. And all of that just to say, and hopefully you guys don't fall out of your seat, that very statistically and very clear from the outcomes, school districts that receive more funding have better outcomes for students, right? Like literally they have more students that are graduating on time. They have more students that move on to 2 4-year universities or trade schools. They have more students. I mean, they just across almost every metric, right? You put more money in the school district and they have better outcomes. So when you look at, and even Granite Falls isn't on there, but even like Sultan, which is very, comparable district to ours, right? If you look at them, they're on the opposite side of the line, right? Because again, less money, less satisfactory outcomes. So I can share that with everyone if you wanted to take a look at it. But I actually saw an op-ed that organization for UW put in the Seattle Times too, kind of talking about the results of that. So hopefully all of these things are starting to open more eyes and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, and in addition, interesting tidbit, Texas has a more supportive and provides more money per students, Texas, than Washington State does. And I don't know, that to me, that was kind of like, are you kidding me? But yeah, they have more of a affluence is the wrong word, but they spend more per student and they have better outcomes and they have less regressive of a way of funding education than Washington State does. So just as an interesting point there. Okay. Moving on, WIAA, anything there?
Yeah, the main thing, I will have to reconfirm the timeline that we have to do this, but I believe we have to do our annual membership. So sign back up for WIAA. That's the only thing, is just keeping that up. And then also, I'd like to try to get ahead of it this year. I know this time last year, our field was being worked on. And so I'd like to try to get ahead of maybe some more applications for hosting more events. See what there is out there. Because I know track and field, it is.
We actually are gonna let Friday Harbor use our field.
Okay.
Football game
Okay, perfect.
in the fall. They usually play, one of the Leavenworth-ish schools.
Oh,
They usually meet halfway.
yeah,
And play at a neutral field, and they asked if they could use ours this year, and we said,
Okay.
oh, of course you can.
yeah.
For a small fee.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that's the whole point there is, we can drive, we've got a beautiful dang near collegiate stadium.
Mhm.
Let's generate some revenue from that place. So,
Amen.
that's about it. The one, actually, just going back on where you were saying, obviously more money, better, it makes the job easier. It doesn't solve, but I would say also, and I'm gonna start banging this drum really hard this year because I feel like it's briefly known, but not so known, is we are part of the guaranteed admissions program. And I don't think people in the community necessarily understand what that means. So in high school, if you complete your, and Dana, keep me honest here, the CADRs, the college academic, I forget what the other two, but it's basically when your child is signing up for classes at the high school, there is a graduation path and there's a college path, right? The college path includes, 4 years of English and some foreign language and stuff like that. If you complete that path with a 3.0, so those are the two requirements, CADRs and a 3.0, you automatically can get accepted to 6 colleges in Washington. That includes Wazoo, Western, Eastern, Central, UW Tacoma, and I believe Evergreen. And so that is, now I know paying for it is its own thing, but I really want to get that out there because I think that is a huge program for us to be in. And I do think that there's a lot of belief. I remember I was like this in high school where I'm like, I couldn't get into a college. And then when it's just made so simple and straightforward, like just get a 3.0 and take these classes and we have a spot for you. Now, granted, it doesn't mean you have to only go to those. You could apply to others, but there is a pathway if you see yourself going to a university that is right there, black and white and open for you. So I'll be kind of beating that drum a little bit more this year and making sure that people understand that there is a pathway for them if they so choose. So.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Community report, you have anything?
Well, Dana covered most of the community events. That's okay. Less for me to do. A couple things that I wanted to add on to there, kind of on the same breath as what I was talking about in board comments, getting out, meeting your community, meeting all of the different people. There's the Saturday farmers market Sunday farmers market that's going on. There's a lot of vendors this year and a lot of people, and it's a lot of fun. So that's really cool. And then also this weekend is a huge community garage sale, like across the whole community. So what a better way to get to know your community than rifle through their junk, So go out and meet your neighbors and there was one more thing I was going to say and now I forgot it. And then just kind of community chatter, what people have been talking about. School's been out for like an hour and they've already talking about school supplies. And I saw the middle school posted school supplies and there was parents already like, yes. So awesome on well, because they want the communication, they want to know, they want to plan, they want a coupon, right? So they're very excited about that. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Any questions or anything? All right. Moving on to item 3C, business report. It is prepared by Marshall, so typically here we'll ask any questions that we have of the report. So I'll open it up. You can just jump in if there are any questions.
My main question, I think this also comes up later, but this feels like, so the forest revenue, that is pretty much like, I'm just making sure that's like a formality, right? There's not like, there's no if we'll get it, it's.
Yeah, we get about 200, so in our debt services, we get about 200,000 a year.
Yeah.
In capital projects, we get about 100,000 a year, and in our general fund, we get probably $200,000 a year in state forest revenue.
Okay.
And it does depend on harvesting.
Yeah.
But it's fairly consistent, and we've actually built up a nice balance in our debt services fund for a rainy day of
Okay.
almost $600,000 is sitting in there that we can use for other things on a rainy day comes and we need it.
Mhm. And remind me again, what can that be pulled?
Yeah.
What can that be pulled into? Can that be pulled into any fund or?
So debt services, state forest revenue can only be pulled into capital projects
Okay.
used for things that are approved in capital projects.
Okay, okay. Wanted to make that clear for financial purposes. I think that's the main thing that I had a question on.
It's actually a great segue if you don't mind me jumping in. So on those capital projects, the things we do over the summer, Marshall, is there a list or is there, I mean, obviously we have the board policy about purchase and approvals through the board and stuff like that. So are you expecting any of that to come through the board or is it all kind of smaller, obviously, other than the reconfiguration that we're doing? Is there any big ticket items that you're looking to get done over the summer?
So our capital projects fund, usually the levy piece of our capital projects fund has about $750,000 that we can work with every year. And we typically divide that out about $400,000 for instructional technology and student technology. And the rest is for small upgrades and repairs. So all of the technology committee kind of designs how that portion of the money is going to be spent. They use a 4-year plan of how we're going to spend it. And then we are mostly, this year, we're using a lot of it to help pay for the preschool reconfiguration, the distraught reconfiguration. But mostly what we use are the facilities part of it for is to put out fires for no better reason. I mean, it's not enough money. $300,000 isn't enough money to really do anything major, but it's enough to replace a boiler if we had to, or an HVAC unit that goes out, or a small roof that needs to be replaced, or some electrical damage that has happened. Any of those kind of things are what that money can be used for. Anything bigger, we would have to find a different solution. Like when we did our turf field at the high school, we ended up having to do a loan through what's called the Snohomish local fund, which is they pile a bunch of school districts like us together and they go out for one big bond and they give little pieces of that bond to the school districts that want the funding, and we get a really low interest rate that way. So our levy dollars can't really pay for anything major. It's all small stuff.
So it's not like we're going to buy, I don't know, input big, $50,000 blank, or we need a $50,000 repair or something like that. We're not doing anything that
No, it's like
size.
chunks of $10,000 here and there.
Got it. Okay.
Marcia, can you talk to the change? There was a change in the grant system, and we now qualify for some small schools or small district grants that we didn't qualify for before. It used to be 2,000 or.
It actually used to be like
1,500
500 or
Okay.
something. It was a small school so there's a lot of state grants for construction projects at small schools because they know it's really hard for a small school community to front the costs. The costs are so big to do any kind of real construction projects that it's way too much of a burden on a community that has a small school in it to try and fund those things. Because the reality is if you're going to do a construction project, the bulk of it the way Washington State works, is funded by the community through a bond. The state gives a little bit of money in matching. You can get some impact fees if you play your cards right, but really probably 75% of the cost to build a school or to expand a school is going to come from the community taxpayers via a bond. And in a really small school district, that's hard to do. So they had I think it was 500 students, might have been 1,000. That was the cutoff for that. And if you had a school district that was small, there would be a lot of state funding through grants to help with construction projects. Well, they raised that to 3,000 now, I believe. So that opens up those kind of grants for districts our size and Sultan size and Lakewood size, who, I mean, to be honest, you know, if it's going to cost $80 million to build an elementary school, that is way too much of a burden. We could expect our taxpayers to fund in a community this size without any real commercial real estate. You know, it's all just homeowners.
So we'll be looking at those too. There was one I just passed along that came through today. I think it was 12 million,
Yeah.
but see what pieces of the pie we can get.
The only, I've already talked, does anyone else have anything? The only kind of parting comment that I was going to make, and obviously the things that are going on in the Marysville community are horrible, right? I mean, it's every time I open up the Herald and I read about the challenges they have, it just breaks my heart. Because again, like we talked about, there's kids, there's families that are hugely negative impacted there. And I saw that I certainly don't, we talk about fund balance and funding a lot here, so I certainly don't want to hop on or harp on it. But I saw you're forecasting like a 3%. And just as a note, the binding conditions that Marysville is in, and you can correct me, Dana and Marshall, if I'm wrong, but until they can show a plan, I think by the 27-28 school year to be at a 5% fund balance, they're going to remain in binding conditions. So I never want to be in that situation ever. And, you know, if we were in binding conditions right now, us in our 3% fund balance wouldn't get us out of it. So we really need to work hard to get to the board policy of our fund balance. And I know we got the right people in place to do it, but just as an extra data point, I just want to bring that up. So,
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
all right, that's all I got. Any other questions? Okay,
Hey, can I add just 2 items about school funding real quick?
I will allow it.
That frustrated me. You mentioned the declining in school funding. Some of the reports that came out were that we are actually spending, on average in the state of Washington, $1,000 less per student than we were 5 years ago. And on average, we have gone from spending 53% of our state budget 4 years ago, to down to 43%. And we're in the bottom as a per capita, per revenue that our state generates. We're in the bottom third of states in the country for how much we invest in education.
Thank you for that, Marshall.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, moving on to item 4A, items from the floor. Paris, do we have anyone signed up? Okay. Unfinished business, none. I was gonna say, I think you're about to sit down, Marshall, and you're about to be up again. Moving to item 6A, capital facility plan. Want to talk through that?
Yeah, so this is our impact fees plan that we have to have. So it's all the plan for why we're asking for impact fees, what our enrollment's gonna be, the projections of our enrollment, the cost to expand our schools to meet the enrollment impacts that are being generated by new houses in our community. And our community is the Granite Falls City proper, and within and the county of Snohomish within our school district boundaries that isn't in the city proper. A lot of complicated calculations, but it's kind of a template. We use Pacifica Law to help us through this. They help most school districts in our area with their plan. They help us get it presented to Snohomish County. Snohomish County adopted it 2 weeks ago, I think. So now it's our turn to adopt it. So what we're asking is to adopt this. I think it's a 25-page plan that kind of has a lot of words, a lot of data, a lot of quoting of wax, a lot of detail, but it's saying that here's how much growth we expect to have. It's impacting our schools because our schools are already full. As part of the growth, the developers who are building new houses in our community should pay a portion of almost like kind of like a tax on their new houses to help fund the growth of our schools that are needed, being generated by their growth in population.
And I didn't see it in here, do we give a dollar figure for that?
So for a single family house, I'm gonna round, I think it's 63 something, but $6,500 for every single family house that is built in the city of Granite Falls or within our school district boundaries. And I think, I'm going off of memory, I think it was right around $3,000 for any.
3160 for townhomes.
Yeah, townhomes, anything that's 2 bedrooms or more. The data shows that a 1 bedroom or a studio doesn't generate students for our community. Most communities, a 1 bedroom or a studio doesn't generate, so you don't get anything for a 1 bedroom or a studio, but 2 bedrooms or more, you get the
3160.
3160.
Single family home is 63, 68. So
Oh, I see it now.
So
Table 10.
generally speaking, the amount of money that impact fees get you will allow you to keep up with enrollment via adding portables to the campus. When you want to do more than that, it's going to require some help from the community. But that's where trying to really figure out what direction our community would like to see their school district, because I mean, we are a focal point of the community. So what direction they would like to see their school district take? You know, do we want to have a lot of portables, or do we want to have some brick and mortar expanded classrooms and buildings?
Yeah. I think here, can we also talk about, or are you okay talking about the bond and about how we have a bond that's expiring next year on the high school, so the high school will be fully paid off. And we aren't doing giving the name, a replacement bond to basically build new facilities or anything along those lines. And one of the things that I've always kind of jokingly heard, and even probably jokingly said, was that, you know, governments never give money back, right? Like, you know, you prove this and they're always going to want that. Taxes are literally going to go down. Property taxes are literally going to go down as that bond expires, because we are going to make do with what we have, right? For right now. But as this shows, as the population calculations show, we're going to grow. And at some point, that growth is going to exceed our ability to be creative, right? As converting some of our admin building to classrooms and those types of things. And at that point, we will need to go out to the community to be able to fund that. And that will be additional money that we will ask for, right? And so I just say that, and I want to say it often, because I want our community, to know that we are very intentionally letting property taxes go or down. Like, we are giving money back. But at some point, we are going to need the community to do what they've always done, which is support our schools, and we're going to need to run a bond. So I guess I just want our community, and Granite has always done an amazing job taking care of Granite, but I guess I just want people to know that, you know, we're doing that now, but there certainly will be an ask at some point in the future. So
I think just put an exclamation point on your statement. You know, a lot of the narrative I hear sometimes is that we should ask the builders to pay for the schools because the new houses are what's causing the growth. But really, all we can ask for is a certain percentage. And that percentage is never enough to pay for the entire cost of what the growth is contributing to our community.
Yeah. No, I'll say this will also be on repeat for the next year and a half, I feel like. And I've said this before, is we have two universal truths that we're dealing with. And universal truths mean they will not change. They're just things that are going forward. And one is we are growing. And two, money is not getting cheaper. And I say that as an example. I know that sounds like a stupid statement sometimes, but a perfect example is right now the bond that is dropping off for the high school is what,
25 million?
25 million. So that high school that our kids go to was $25 million to make. If we were to build that high school right now, we would easily be looking at $150 million. And so these are big, scary numbers. I completely understand that. It sounds crazy to say $100 million doesn't buy what it used to, but it is just something and again, right, we represent the community, we're the liaison between the community and the district. And as of right now, just being completely transparent, I don't see another way to deal with the first universal truth, which is growth, without also recognizing the second universal truth and us borrowing money from some way, shape or form sooner rather than later. Because every year that we kick that can down the road is another year that this whatever 7 to 12% of inflation hits us as well. So this is also me saying, I don't have all of the answers. So please, I invite anybody within the community that's like, oh, there's actually this really easy way to get $100 million for the district. Like, I'm more than happy to listen and to work through that together. But we're trying to deal with this and secure the future of this district as best as we can. So I just wanted to reiterate that. You'll hear me say that a lot, right? We're growing very quickly and money's not getting cheaper. And so we have to figure something out.
And Granite Falls, the city of Granite Falls is a very desirable place for builders to want to build right now.
Mhm.
And the water treatment plant upgrades are in process, and we've received kind of a tentative idea that maybe May they'll be done. And at that point, the floodgates will open for building in Granite Falls.
Yeah. And just actually really on here as well, I just did the math. If we got 300 new single family homes, that's just shy of $2 million. Now, just what I was going off of those numbers, $2 million is not going to build the facilities that 300 homes will bring in terms of children. So unless they're portables, right?
Yeah.
And they're being crammed in there, which nobody wants that as an experience for their children. So just something to keep in mind. I wanted to point that out because this impact fee, it's good. It's money that we haven't seen in the past, but it is not the cure-all. It is not even aspirin at this point, right? It slightly helps, but it's
Band-Aid.
right. It's a Band-Aid. And so just wanted to make sure that that's very clear as well.
And I'll add one thing that I'm not sure is highlighted as strongly as it could be in the impact fees report, is that the minute we collect an impact fee, there's a clock that starts ticking on that money, and we have to spend it in 10 years. So whether that's to buy portables or to be a big project, we start collecting the money, we have 10 years to spend it. And it's a rolling clock. So this year when we collect, we have to pay this year's in 10 years, next year's is 11 years.
Yeah.
So we have 10 years to spend it.
We do know that, Marshall and I met with the city last week, and we do know that there's 400 homes literally just waiting in the wings to be built.
Mm.
So to your point, with that money, right?
And that's definitely not gonna build a new elementary school. 2 million, 4 million, 5 million. Well said, Director Ledoux. I appreciate you saying
Thank
that.
you.
Anything else we want to talk about? Oh, I had just one question, and not that it even matters to me, but do we need to update the board director names on the title page of the
Oh, yeah.
plan? I don't even know if that's a thing, but
I think if we wanted to, I know a lot of times when we do the it's on in the narrative section?
it's on the first page.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still in draft format
I
though,
guess,
so
pardon me?
it's still in draft format. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
So if we just approve the plan, we can get the names changed.
Okay. Anything else we want to discuss? So essentially, just to summarize what I'm hearing, so that we're all on the same page, our approval of this is what allows us to then move forward with the impact fees and stuff
Right.
like that. That's really the heart and soul of what we're looking at.
Right, and we advertised this twice in the Herald and as required, and gave a phone number and email address for them to give us, for the community to give us any feedback. We didn't get any feedback,
Mhm.
positive or negative about it, so.
Well, if the board is ready, I can make a motion on this. I'd like to make a motion to approve the capital facilities plan with the update of the names of the board of directors.
I second.
Motion's made and seconded by Director Kincaid. I always want to say Director Carly.
I could be Director Carly. I'm cool with that.
Is all in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimous. All right, Marshall, take us through item 6B, general fund budget extension.
So when we created our budget last year, we were very aggressive in trying to reduce some costs and grow our fund balance. And we did not build in any cushion. So we have overshot what we were going to expend, basically due to transportation, special ed, and nursing costs. But we also have more revenue coming in, much more safety net, all that kind of stuff. We're still gonna grow our fund balance, but we need to do this budget extension so that we can spend the extra $2 million that we're gonna spend this year that we weren't planning on spending. And it's kind of a formality. If we just this may be new to some board members, but when we present our budget to the school board in July, we essentially ask permission to spend $40 million. If for some reason anything happens, all of a sudden our school district doubles in size, or we get a ton of money that comes in and we want to spend it. If we want to spend 1 cent more than $40 million, we have to come back to the board and ask for an approval to spend that extra 1 cent. So what we're doing now is we did have some things that unexpectedly happened, and in reality, we probably were very aggressive in our budget. I mean, we thought it was very achievable, but who could have figured that special ed would have, or that some high needs kids would move into our district, or some out of state placements would have happened. All this stuff is a bit of a surprise. We are getting a lot more safety net money back. Our safety net is 1.7 million this year. And we got, I think, about 1.1 last year. We are getting a lot of safety net money back this year, but we did have to spend a lot more money to get there.
And I'll just add, every year I've been on the board, we've done a budget extension, had to do a budget extension. I would agree, it's very common.
We try to honestly budget and not overly cushion things. It's kind of I feel like it's a more transparent way to do it. You can build in big cushions of expenditures and revenues, really big cushions to try and handle surprises. But I personally feel that, especially in our type community and our type district, being as transparent as possible, trying to budget reality, we think reality is probably the best way to do it.
Any other questions or discussion? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the general fund budget extension.
Motion's been made to approve the general fund budget extension. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Director Dane. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, pass unanimous. All right, capital projects budget extension, sorry.
So for the capital projects fund, we are doing some work over here to move the preschool and to move everybody upstairs. We got a grant that's going to give us $100,000 to help pay for that. That grant hits our capital projects fund, not our general fund. When we build a budget for capital projects, we build a budget that spends the levy dollars that we expect to receive, and we don't overspend because that would take us negative. If we get some surprise revenue during the year, which we're going to get this grant's a surprise. And we're going to also transfer some of that timber money in, which is a surprise. We have to do the budget extension so we can spend it, but the revenue matches the expenditures.
Any additional discussion? I guess I'll just say, I think. Oh no, for some reason I'm thinking that I pulled up a different thing. I was going to say that it was the same attachment in the online, but it's not. I guess I was somehow messing that up. So, any other discussion? No. Okay, we make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the capital projects budget extension.
Is there a motion's been made to accept the capital projects budget extension? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Director Dane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, pass unanimous. All right, item 16, debt service fund budget extension.
Similar to capital projects, when we budget for the debt services fund, we budget for the exact amount of money that we forecast that we owe on our outstanding bonds. And we had a $1,050 surprise fee that we weren't expecting. So, I mean, it's a $5 million budget. We had to extend it by $1,050 to pay this fee. We couldn't would be out of compliance. We didn't extend it by $1,050. We have a $5 million fund balance in there, so extending it by $1,050 really is pretty insignificant, but we still have to do the extension.
A good example of what you're talking about. If you want to spend a cent more, you got
Yeah.
the process. All right, any other discussion or questions? I'd like to make a motion that we approve the debt service fund budget extension. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Director Ledoux. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, pass unanimous. Item 6E, resolution to transfer state forest revenue.
Well, this is something we've been doing, I think we started last year again. When we collect money for timber sales, timber tax into our debt services fund, we're allowed to transfer that into our capital projects fund. So we can spend it, our debt services fund can only be spent on paying down bonds that were voted on by the community. The community pays taxes for us to pay down the bonds that we use for big construction projects. But we also get timber money from timber harvests in our district. And that money, though, has more flexibility. We can transfer it into capital projects and use it for anything that capital projects can use it for. So we're asking to transfer that $200,000 into capital projects so we can use it to help with some of the work we're doing for the school.
And you want to talk about, I know we do this quite often, so do you want to talk through, I mean, is there anything you want to say in regard to that, just so everyone feels comfortable that this isn't an oddball that we do?
We get about $200,000 a year. We hadn't done it in a while, so we've accumulated, after even we transfer this $200,000, we still have $500,000 or $600,000 in this state forest timber money sitting in our debt services fund that we can use on a future date if that revenue slows down. One of the things we're using that timber money for is to pay for the payments on the turf field. So we want to make sure we have enough that even if we have some downtime in timber harvest, that we still have enough of a buffer to pay for the field. And we do. We have it's between $500,000 and $600,000. I can't remember how much it is still sitting in there, and we anticipate to get $200,000 a year for the foreseeable future. So we have plenty of money to pay for that, and still transfer some money every year into our capital projects fund to help expand some of the projects we can do here locally.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion on that? I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution to transfer state forest revenue.
A second.
Motion remains seconded by Director Kincaid. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Passes unanimous. Okay, moving on to item 6F, instructional materials form prepared by Dr. Mans. I know Dr. Mans isn't here, but Shailene, is there anything, it is Shailene, right? Shailene, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't pronounce it that way.
Is there anything that you want to say typically with a prepared by, that we've been provided a report, but you made the trek down here, so I want to make sure I honor your time.
I'm just here to support, hopefully, is it okay that I'm sitting?
If you don't mind, stand up so we can get you, if you don't, sorry. And sorry to put you on the spot, but
It's okay.
I didn't want you to think we were just ignoring you.
Oh, it's all good. No, I just wanted to, I went to the meeting a couple weeks ago that we had with the adoption committee to discuss the program that we were piloting. Sean Benson piloted for 3rd grade, I piloted for 4th grade, and Jessica Weiss piloted for 5th grade, the CKLA program that currently Mountain Way uses at the K-1-2 level. That now this company has adopted a 3-4-5 curriculum. And so it was up to us, the 3 of us, to test this with our kiddos. So our kiddos got a little bit of a different curriculum than the rest of the kids from January to the end of the year. And it's an extremely positive curriculum. It's very hands-on, it's very engaging. It is very, it covers a lot of ground. Carly could probably attest to the fact, since she was subbing in our district, that we really didn't have the best writing curriculum per se at the higher level elementary. And this involves writing in everything that is in this curriculum. I just brought a couple of things. Each unit comes with a very easy to use teacher guide that walks through every scenario of the curriculum. There are slides that go with the curriculum, so it's very engaging visually as well. And each unit has student readers that the kids have little aspects of stories that they go through together. It's a lot of peer-on-peer learning. So there's a lot of opportunities for the kids to work together in small group settings as well as whole class learning. So you get a lot of different aspects of the learning that they're doing. There's tons of turn and talk moments. So their voices are heard, which is really good in a curriculum. They're not just listening to me or any other teachers just stand up there and yap. They actually get to have a hand in what they're doing. There is a lot of experimenting with this curriculum in regards to, I'll give a third grade example. Sean did a unit on Vikings, and the classroom is set up to where the screen is in the front. And it's very interactive where the desks are then set up kind of like a Viking ship. And there's an interactive, it's, I don't want to say like virtual reality, but it's kind of like interactive where the kids see on the screen the story that's taking place, and then they act like they're on the Viking ship and they're rowing. And so it's kind of a little more engaging than just, you know, okay, open your book to this page. Let's read this out loud and answer this question. It kind of keeps the kids' attention better than your typical curriculum. In fourth grade, I did a unit called Eureka Student Inventor, where the kids got to learn about different inventors, learn about simple machines, and then they worked in different groups as a competition. It was set up like a game show. So they worked in their individual groups as like a competition of coming up with different inventions and having to pitch inventions to like acting like the class was their, they were pitching inventions, and they had to come up with slogans and ideas and
Like Shark Tank.
kind
Yeah.
of, exactly,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then I had to kind of assign a winner to each group that was, you know, oh, your pitch was the best. Like I said, it was kind of like a game show.
Mhm.
And then they got random little, they did random experiments with our first one was they received popsicle sticks, ping pong balls, rubber bands, tissues, just very odd items that they didn't have any direction, but they had to come up with some type of invention that did something. And they had to build something that passed a ping pong ball without using their hands. It sounds simple and silly, but it was completely engaging. You know, they were completely excited about it. We had another experiment where I actually invited Miss Wynn and Miss Bo to come watch the kids, because it's always good, you know, when your admin sees them being really engaged. And we were doing another building experiment. They had paper towel holders, tissue paper, and toilet paper holders, more popsicle sticks. They had different types of, I had marbles and just lots of different things, a waste basket, and they had to build a garbage chute from, they had to have like a ramp, so like this where our simple machines came in. They had to use some type of simple machine, puller and levy, ramp, anything, incline plane, anything like that, to make some type of garbage chute with all these supplies. They couldn't throw the paper in the garbage. They had to hit the paper from the top of their experiment down into the garbage chute somehow by using all these various materials, another type of competition thing. So there's lots of hands-on opportunities. Fifth grade, I know they had a interactive robot challenge where they are using something to build a robot and give the robot different types of commands to be doing something. So lots of different interactive experiences with this curriculum, not only interactive, but like I was stating before, writing. Writing is huge. Writing is where a lot of our students struggle. And this curriculum gives them tons and tons of writing practice. Each grade has their informative writing, narrative writing, and informational writing that we all have to do. This curriculum breaks it up to where it's not daunting. Because, I mean, let's face it, what fourth grader wants to write 5-paragraph essay right off the bat? So this curriculum breaks it up to where they are writing every single day, and it's not so daunting of a task. I'm not just giving them, please go write 5 paragraphs and then come, you know, go through the writing process of, okay, let me see it. I'll give it back to you. You edit it, and then, okay, let's work on it again. It's almost disguised. It's disguised to really be a lot of fun for every aspect of this curriculum to have them write. So by beginning, we're starting with little bits of writing up to our 5 paragraphs. So, I really can't, you know, I'm going on and on. I truly can't say enough positive things about this curriculum. Both Sean Benetton in 3rd grade, myself, and Jessica Lisa in 5th grade had nothing but positive interactions with our kids. had nothing but positive things to say about the curriculum itself. And we were able to go over to Mountain Way and see them using their portion of the curriculum and how it will kind of weave into then having the extension of not just K-1-2 using as a curriculum, but it ties into then 3, 4, 5 with background knowledge and the way that they learn and how the assignments are set up so they have that carrying on of knowledge.
Thank you so much. Questions?
I just have a comment.
Yeah, please.
I just love this curriculum and how one of the things that I say all the time, how important it is to tie in real life experiences into education. And like, as Mrs. Cook explained, like they're writing commands for robots. They are writing pitches for their, Shark Tank thing. It's putting writing into a real life experience instead of just saying, here, write a story. And anything that follows the science of reading and stuff. Also, you will find that a student who can read and write, their math scores will be higher because now they can read story problems and they can incorporate that. And so, so I am excited about this.
Outstanding. Any other questions or comments? Well, does the teacher on our school board want to make a motion?
Sure. I make a motion that we accept the instructional materials form.
I will wholeheartedly second.
Right.
Motion's been made and seconded by me. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Awesome. And before we go on, I want to say, we don't get the opportunity to thank our teachers to their face a lot. And so I just want to thank you for being awesome, all the things that you are. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being able to support the great things you're doing in the classroom. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here tonight.
Moving on the consent agenda, is there any additions? There are no additions. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no additions or discussions, I will say that it passes by unanimous consent. I will call the meeting to adjournment at 7:21, ahead of schedule. All right, thank you, everyone. for coming out.
Your gavel, sir.